Filing is one thing, getting a patent granting is another part of the story altogether. So, key thing and the most important thing, it protects your idea. It prevents anybody from copying your idea. And once you have your patent, you get what is known as a licensing fee, which itself helps you to generate revenue both for your institute as well as for yourself. It improves your CV. I think this is something that matters to very many of us, especially since promotions are linked to your CV, to your APARs. So rather than adding something random, I think it's something that gives that credibility to your CV. Yes, that you are actually doing something in the field. We all know this famous incident. All those who watched the Oscars 3 years ago, Will Smith and Chris Tucker. So I think that was the right apt example of that. It helps you to protect your company's or your startup's interest. It increases your market position. I think this is something everybody, when we talk of the clinical side, people wanting to earn money. So why not the physiologists? So this is something that helps you to increase your market positions. Now, key thing, why physiologists should be innovating. Because as I said, the beginning question was we are on the non-clinical side. We don't get to interact with patients. Even if you want to do anything, we have to go to a clinician. But I think the most fundamental question is that being a physiologist, it gives you the better and a holistic understanding of the human body. And this is something that is key to innovation. Because innovation is not about a particular system, it's not about a particular branch. It is something that, if you're talking of, which would generally help the patient overall in some way or the other. Secondly, when you are innovating, you are generally playing with devices, playing with signals. And as physiologists, we are someone who have a lot of understanding of signal processing and biosignals. And this is something that allows us to interact with engineers easily. It gives us that leverage compared to other people, that this is something that would give us an advantage to have a common language to talk to with the engineers. Physiologists generally everywhere in a medical institute, I think everybody would agree, we are a very congenial department. And when it comes to physiologists, we are considered among the coolest, whether it's with the UGs or with the PGs or with other departments. And we have got a good interaction with the other departments. So I think that is something that helps us to bind or develop a bond with other departments. Then most of the physiologists work with equipment which is state of the art. So this definitely gives you the edge, knowing state of the art equipment, state of the art technologies that are available. So you know what is happening in India and abroad. And I think, yes, we have time, and none of us can deny this fact that no matter how much we say we are busy, whether it's our administration, whether it's our research, whether it's our teaching, we still have sufficient amount of time with us in the day where we can actually sit, think, and work on something new. And most importantly, as physiologists, we work on normal individuals, and before you take anything into the market or anything onto a patient, you have to standardize it, you have to calibrate it. And this is where we come into the picture, because obviously we are the ones who know what normal is, we are the ones who are working on the normal individuals. So I think overall, if we look at the picture in terms of innovation, the physiologists actually have a lot of advantage as compared to other people. Now, at an individual level or at a departmental level or an institute level, we have to do something in order to innovate. Innovation is not something that, okay, one fine morning I get up, I get this brilliant idea that I want to do this, and I'll go and make it happen. No, it's not that easy also. It is something that requires a lot of effort. It requires a lot of time. If I were to say, we started our journey in 2015, and the first patent that we filed was in 2019. So it took us 4 years to actually work on the product and get something ready. So, and the key thing to doing any innovation is to read, read, and read. And this is not just reading about the product or about the technology that you're working, it is also about the rules. And since patent rules follow three key principles which you have to fulfill if you want to file a patent, which is novelty, inventive step, and industrial applicability. I think this is where a lot of brainstorming has to go in, a lot of hard work has to go in, especially when it comes to the inventive step and the industrial applicability. Novelty is something we all feel that yes, we are doing something novel, but fact of the matter is the authorities, as far as the patent uh, authorities are concerned, they are just not bothered alone about novelty. They're also bothered about what is the inventive step. An inventive step is something which is outside the normal, which something with a normal eye would not have done it, and you're doing something better than that. And obviously, if you're something, it should have an applicability in the terms of industrial applicability. So at an individual level, I think a lot of effort and time has to go into reading about it and then seeing what actually exists in the market, or what actually it may not be in the market as yet, but what has already been patented, which we call as the prior art. And this not only applies to India but abroad, because even though we say that patent is territorial, that means you want to file a patent in India, so you will get a patent only in India. But when the authorities look at it, they look at the similar work that has been done throughout the world. So I guess the prior art is one of the most important thing. You may do something very brilliant, but if even a single individual abroad, somewhere in US or somewhere as far as say Timbuktu has done it, sorry, you won't get that patent. You need to be observant. I think this is the key thing which drives physiologists. We as physiologists are very observant. We tend to look at signals, we tend to look at things that are happening around us. And this is something that has to be cultivated. And I strongly believe from an undergraduate level, this thing has to be brought in into the students, because unless and until you are observant, you will not get the idea as to how this thing can be done or how something can be invented or innovated. So it is very important to be observant and observant in your day-to-day life. As an innovator, I'm not just looking at making a device purely in terms of medical. It could be something, a process, say a modification of a say simple thing as a step that could be helpful to a patient while climbing these stairs. So you have to be observant about everything that is happening around you. This is the key to any innovation in the world: teamwork. And that is quite unlike research, where people may think that they themselves know a lot and they solely can publish, even though in today's world publishing a single authored article is also I would say a very uphill task, and generally most of the journals don't allow it. But the key in innovation is to have a team, and it's all about teamwork. You need to have, besides yourself, maybe a clinician, maybe an engineer, or who's from the computer science, or from electronics, or from mechanical. So it actually has to do a lot of thing with the teamwork, because ultimately everybody will contribute, everybody will have their ideas, and it's the best that one single idea that will help you to innovate on a particular product. This is something very important, which I would say, and I think this is the key in terms of an innovation. You learn, and it's a continuous learning process. Not only you learn from your own mistakes, you also learn from others. I think innovation is a field where we as a community, the few of us that are working, we actually, if we fail on something, we discuss with others, we tell them that we made this mistake, because this is what helps the other person also to grow. It's about all about cooperative growing. It's not about a competition. It's more of helping each other grow, because the road is long and it's an arduous road. So obviously, in this case, you have to learn, you have to learn, and you have to learn. And secondly, failure is something which is very common. If I were to say, we've made things, we filed patents, we have our patents granted, but that didn't come so easily. We made something, then we realized, no, this isn't working. You have to further modify it. And it is this failure that has to be the driving force behind you to get the work done. Innovation is all about learning from your failures and going ahead with it. There's a lot of echo, somebody's device is on, please. Yeah. Now, at an individual level, all of us can do. But as somebody who's in the field, I would say it is more about working at a departmental level. And because innovation is something that can actually help your department to get funds. It can help you to get recognition both at the national and the international level. And it's something which actually motivates people to work outside of their comfort zone. I think all of us are very well in our fields. We all know our fields. Agree to that. But some mic is on, which is actually causing a lot of echo. Thank you. So, but the field of innovation is more than that. And yes, there are departmental challenges, and these challenges are, I think, are what prevent people from coming together. And the most important among them is let off your ego. And it applies both ways. It applies both to the juniors, it applies both to the seniors. As seniors, I would say yes, we all have a lot of experience, but we also need to understand that those who are coming fresh into the field or who are younger than us, they sometimes have the most brilliant ideas because they're more tech savvy. But as to the flip side of it, I also would say that the juniors also need to understand that being new, being young, being energetic, being tech savvy doesn't mean that you know everything and you think that the seniors don't know anything. The experience and time that a senior has and the newer technologies that you have are actually the best combination for anybody to innovate rather than having this pseudo superiority complex of the senior being senior and the junior being junior or being tech savvy or anything. It is better to let off this ego and come together and think because that is what will help the department grow. Secondly, it is very important for everybody to ask questions. And this is right from the UG level. Allow the UG to ask questions, allow the PG to ask questions, and you yourself should ask questions. The I've seen at many places the new culture wherein, as in seminars and journal clubs, also we are not asking questions. We are just expecting people to do rote reading and come and answer. But that is not the way. Unless and until you ask them and you stop spoon feeding, they will not learn to think. If you want to cultivate the culture of innovation, you have to allow people to think as to why this is happening and not give them the answers to various things straight away. And this becomes right from the content of the subject. Because unless and until you know the subject, you cannot innovate. Because a lot of work that goes behind innovation has to do with your knowledge of physiology. So I would seriously say this that this culture of spoon feeding has to be stopped somewhere. Let the students, faculty think what is the thing, only then will they be able to think. Because innovation is all about thinking, and asking question as to why this, why not this. So this is something that is very important. Another important thing is you just cannot wake up one day and say, I'll change the world. No, it is not possible. Innovation is all about incremental changes, both at an individual level, at a departmental level. And the way you innovate slowly gets to become a part of your second nature because you tend to innovate both in terms of your day-to-day work also. So this is something that is very important. You have to begin slow and then you have to go up and up. Now, at a departmental level, how can we push for innovation? One thing is, yes, a lot many courses are available. We should encourage our students and faculty to get exposure to those courses. Many of them are online. Then attend workshops, webinars, and hackathons. I think sitting in your room or sitting in your department will not help you just to innovate. You have to actually go out and see what is actually happening. And a lot of things that you learn are through these webinars and hackathons, where you get to meet some of the most brilliant minds that are there and who are
Recording in progress.
ready to collaborate. Now, as a department, we all can work together, we can bring about changes. But then we also need to understand that we need support at the institute level. And this is where the institute plays a very important role. And I think one of the most key important
Recording stopped.
uh, driving force right now should be the ICMR DHR document on medical innovation and entrepreneurship. When the government itself is allowing us, is pushing forward, has put in a policy that is can help institutes, they can use that policy as a template and build upon it. I think this is something that the institutes have to follow. So it is important to have an IPR or what we call as the intellectual property rights cell, or you may call it the intellectual property management committee or whatever name you want to give it. But and an empanelment of patent lawyers, this is something very basic. You then institutes should have an innovation and a startup policy because unless and until you have an innovation or a startup policy, nothing can move forward. The later part of this comes in terms of what we call as the incubation center, what we call as the industry tie-up, and The last point, which I think is very important in today's time, is incentives for faculty and students. Most of us would agree that even if we are applying for very many places, there's actually no column for patents filed, granted, or published, or those things. We still focus more on research, conference presentations, and all those things rather than focusing on innovation. So I think there has to be an incentive both for the faculty and the students, and this is something that would actually drive the uh, process of medical innovation at any institute. Briefly, I would like to touch upon our team and our journey so far. We are a group of doctors and engineers from various departments of AIMS Jodhpur and other institutes, including IIT Jodhpur. And we are from various departments like anatomy, anesthesia, ENT, surgical oncology, College of Nursing. We've been working on this for last nearly 10 years now. We've filed 4 patents, out of which 2 have been granted to us. Uh, as far as our institute policy is concerned, any patent that we file is in the name of the institute, and we are the innovators. So 2 of the patents have actually been granted to us, and we are the holders of the first joint patent of AIMS Jodhpur and IIT Jodhpur, which is the automatic speech generation, or we also call it as talking gloves. We made small growths, and just some humble submission is that we've got been lucky enough to win some awards for our innovations, including the Indo-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Challenge twice, Young Rural Innovator, as well as we've also been asked by various associations in the US to showcase our products at various conferences. On the media coverage part, our team has received extensive media coverage, both as far as the print media is concerned and the television media is concerned. This is about the first joint patent that I was saying between IIT and AIMS. We've also worked with the industry, with ISKCON Surgicals at Jodhpur, to develop protective boxes during the times of cold to protect our healthcare workers. And this work of ours was actually applauded, or I would say it was appreciated by the Department of Science and Technology, and it was brought about in their innovation booklet for the innovations that were done during the period of COVID-19. And again, we were grateful to the media and ISKCON Surgicals who helped us develop this product. And our journey is still continuing. We've recently filed another, and we are looking to file other patents. And I'm open for collaboration. So if anybody of you wants to work with us, you're most welcome to work with us. And with this thing, I'd like to once again thank the organizers for inviting me. Thank you so much. Any questions, please?
Before culminating this session, hello. Now I think it's okay. So before culminating this session,
I think Dr. Gaurav, the speaker there is causing an echo.
yeah, I think so.
The laptop that is connected, that laptop speaker may be turned off. I think that would be better.
Please turn off any speaker if. Hello. So before culminating this session, I would like to tell you that Dr. Abhinav Dixit and me share the same legacy. We grew up in UCMS, and he joined there in 2003 as a PG, and I joined there at 2004. So a nice talk on innovators and innovations in physiology by Dr. Abhinav Dixit, and he has enlightened us on the patent, how we filed it. I think everybody who is attending here, all the delegates, have got the message. Thank you very much, Dr. Abhinav Dixit, okay, for enlightening us on this topic.
Good evening, sir. Topic was very well explained. I think the idea जो आप पहुंचाना चाह रहे थे that is reached to the audience. But I think जो state government medical colleges है जिसमें जैसे हम work कर रहे हैं उसमें थोड़ा सा ये innovation वाला idea is difficult to carry out. I think aims वगैरह they are
हम जो कोलैबोरेट करते हैं, जो मैंने एक्चुअली पहला काम शुरू किया था वो स्टेट इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज के साथ ही किया था. So main thing is at an individual level nobody is stopping us, and all you need if you want to file a patent, even if you are collaborating with other institute, one of the institutes can file a patent, and all you need is a NOC. And knowing the current state of the Rajasthan government, they are actually started to work on this field, because हम भी उनके साथ कुछ चीज़ों पे और discussions करते रहते हैं. So I think that day is not far even when all the colleges of Rajasthan would be on board. So I think this is the field which is actually being driven by government of India itself. So all state governments are being supportive towards this now.
so okay,
Next, we have the privilege of welcoming Dr. K. Muthu Pratibha Ma'am, Professor and HOD, SRMC Chennai, a distinguished expert whose work in the world of physiology has significantly impacted the field. With a keen focus on innovation and research, Dr. Pratibha Ma'am has been at the forefront of advancing knowledge, guided by our chairperson, Dr. Jeevandeep Kaur and Dr. Gaurav Swami sir. Let us welcome Dr. K. Muthu Pratibha for this enlightening session.
Hello, can you hear me? Hello.
Ma'am, you're audible.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to share my screen. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to be at a different place at 10:45. So um, I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if the screen is visible. Is my screen visible
No, ma'am.
now? One second, please. Sorry, I'm trying to join from the share this document. Can somebody else share it for me? Is anyone from my department here?
I'm here.
Lalita, can I send the PPT to you? Can you just share the screen there?
Yes, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay, so I'm sending it to you. I've sent it on WhatsApp. Is your WhatsApp opened up?
Ma'am.
I'm sorry, people. I think I need to skip it because I need to get into another meeting as well. Maybe sometime later we'll have a other. Lalita, thank you for offering to show my presentation, but looks like the next speaker is also there. So
Okay, ma'am. No issue.
yeah, thank you, Lalita, and thank you, organizers. Best wishes.
Our next Hello. Our next distinguished speaker, Dr. Ankur Tanvarshar, is a renowned expert known for his groundbreaking work in physiology. His dedication to advancing research and clinical practices has been widely recognized. We are privileged to gain insights from his expertise today under the able chairmanship of Dr. Jeevandeep Kaur ma'am and Dr. Gaurav Swami sir. Please have a huge round of applause for him.
Hello, myself Dr. Ankur Tanwar. I am MD in आयुर्वेदा. आज मैं आप सबके सामने आयुर्वेदा के कॉन्सेप्ट प्रकृति के बारे में बताना चाहूँगा, जो स्पेशली फिजियोलॉजी में बहुत यूज होता है. बहुत सारे पब्लिकेशंस है इसके ऊपर और बहुत ही फंडिंग इस पर क्रिएट हो रही है. I have done my PhD in University of Delhi, and my topic of PhD is sleep and HRV. So let's talk about the प्रकृति. सर मूव नहीं हो रही. ओके, तो प्रकृति है क्या? हम सब जानते हैं, हम सब आपस में बात करते हैं ना, इसको पसीना बहुत आता है, इसका वजन नहीं बढ़ता है, इनहेरेंट है, उसके अंदर इनबिल्ट है, उसे हम बोलते हैं उसका स्वभाव है, वो प्रकृति है. इट इज ए इंडिविजुअल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, नेचर ऑफ ए इंडिविजुअल विच डिटरमाइंस हिज एंड हर फ्रॉम अदर्स. एनाटॉमिकल, फिजियोलॉजिकल, साइकोलॉजिकल डिफरेंशिएशन अमॉन्ग द इंडिविजुअल. आयुर्वेदिक पर्सनैलिटी, इसके ऊपर आपको आयुर्वेद में मॉडर्न्स में बहुत सारी पब्लिकेशंस मिल जाएगी. यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ दिल्ली में, एम्स में भी इसके ऊपर बहुत काम हुआ है, क्योंकि दीपक सर ने भी इस पर काम किया है. उनके अमेरिकन फिजियोलॉजिकल सोसाइटी का जर्नल है फिजियोलॉजिकल रिपोर्ट्स, उसमें प्रकृति और एचआरवी के ऊपर जो डिफरेंशिएशन है उस पर पब्लिकेशंस है. तो हम बात करते हैं व्हाई टू पर्सन आर नॉट द सेम. द रीजन इज प्रकृति, यूनिक कंपोजिशन ऑफ द दोषा inherit in an individual. How is Prakriti formed? Prakriti is formed at the time of fertilization and it remains constant for the lifetime. Determining factor of Prakriti. Prakriti को define कौन करता है? आयुर्वेदा में दोष बोले गए 3, वात, पित्त एंड कफा. पित्त वो नहीं है जो हम कहते हैं गोल ब्लैडर वाला, या कफा जो हम खांसते हैं वो कफ नहीं है. जैसे हम सेल की बात करें, सेल में न्यूक्लियस होता है, सबको ऑर्डर देता है, वो वात से हम कंपेयर कर सकते हैं. पित्त की बात करें तो हमारा माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया जो सबको एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस करता है, उसको हम पित्त से कंपेयर कर सकते हैं. और कफ जो साइटोप्लाज्म है, सबको इनहेरेंट, सबको जोड़ के रखता है, वो कफ है. तो प्रकृति हर इंडिविजुअल की एक यूनिक कॉन्सेप्ट है. हमारी हर सेल में वात, पित्त, कफ दोषों का कंपोजिशन है. हमारे हर ऑर्गन सिस्टम पे इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है, हमारी पूरी बॉडी पे इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है. तो ये इसमें जेनेटिक फैक्टर होते हैं, जो वात, पित्त और कफ दोष जो सीमन में, स्पर्म में और ओवम में है वो. और एपिजेनेटिक फैक्टर है, उस वक्त फर्टिलाइजेशन के टाइम में जो फीमेल है उसने क्या फूड इनटेक किया है, एंड यूट्रस की कंडीशन क्या है, टाइम ऑफ कंसेप्शन क्या है. ये एपिजेनेटिक फैक्टर है जो प्रकृति को डिफाइन करते हैं. फैक्टर इन्फ्लुएंसिंग प्रकृति. प्रकृति बन तो गई, मगर होता है ना, हम किसी एक जाति में पैदा होते हैं, किसी घर में पैदा होते हैं, वहाँ के हमारे कैरेक्टर्स आ जाते हैं हमारे अंदर ना, वहाँ का खाना पीना आप अडेप्ट कर जाते हैं, वहाँ का नेचर आ जाता है। तो वो जो इन्फ्लुएंसिंग फैक्टर है, हमारी एज के हिसाब से प्रकृति में इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है, हमारी क्लाइमेटिक चेंज काल का इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है हमारी प्रकृति पे, रेस का, जाति का, फैमिली का और जियोग्राफी देश का। जैसे हम बात करें तो आयुर्वेद में बोला गया है कि वात प्रकृति पुरुष थोड़े डार्क कलर के होते हैं। अब मैं बात करूँ अफ्रीका में तो सब डार्क कलर के हैं, तो ऐसे तो सब वात प्रकृति के हो गए, मगर ऐसा नहीं है, वहाँ पे देश का इम्पैक्ट पड़ रहा है, तो उस फैक्टर को हम नलिफाई करते हैं। टाइप ऑफ प्रकृति है कितनी? तो आयुर्वेद में 7 टाइप की प्रकृति मानी गई है। वात, पित्त, कफा। वात 2 दोषों की कंपोजिशन से वात कफा, वात पित्ता, पित्त कफा और 3 दोषों की सम। जैसे हम बात करते हैं वात वाले बहुत दुबले पतले होते हैं देखने में, आपको लगे, पित्त वाले मॉडरेट होते हैं, कफ वाले थोड़े हैवी वेट्स होते हैं। जैसे मॉडर्न में माना गया ना आपको एंडोटाइप्स, मीजोटाइप्स या फिर मीजोमॉर्फ, इस टाइप से हम कंपेयर कर सकते हैं। ये वात पित्त कफ प्रकृति के लक्षण है जो हमारी संहिताओं में बता रखे हैं। जैसे बोला गया है वात वाला अल्प केश होता है, मतलब उसके बाल बहुत कम होते हैं, वो जल्दी झड़ सकते हैं। केश होता है वो दुबला पतला होता है। रुक्ष होता है, स्किन बहुत ड्राइनेस होती है, बहुत पर्सन मिलेंगे आपकी जो बहुत दुबले पतले हो गए, वेट गेन नहीं होता, कितना भी खा ले, और स्किन ड्राई रहेगी। वाचाल, बहुत जल्दी जल्दी बोलते होगे, बहुत जल्दी चलते होगे और चलोगे, उनका मन भी अस्थिर रहेगा, बात यहाँ कर रहे हैं कहीं और मन लगा हुआ है, ऐसे बहुत सारे पर्सन आपको मिलेंगे। और प्रकृति का हमारे ड्रीम्स पे भी इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है। ये एक यूनिक कॉन्सेप्ट है जो आयुर्वेद को डिफरेंशिएट करता है। उन्होंने बोला कुछ लोग होते हैं जो रात में सपने में उड़ते हुए महसूस करते हैं, दौड़ते हुए महसूस करते हैं, भ्रमण करते हुए महसूस करते हैं, वो वात प्रकृति के पुरुष हो सकते हैं। पित्त के लिए बोला अकाले पलीते, बहुत जल्दी बाल झड़ जाते हैं, बहुत जल्दी सफेद हो जाते हैं, प्रीमेच्योर ग्रेइंग ऑफ हेयर्स, वो पित्त वालों में मिलेगा। आपने बहुत सारे लोग देखे होंगे जिनके बाल बहुत जल्दी सफेद हो जाते हैं, 20 साल की उम्र में सफेद हो रहे हैं, तो उनके अंदर पित्त दोष शायद और दोषों के मुकाबले प्रीडोमिनेंट हो। धीमान, बहुत बुद्धिमान होते हैं बहुत लोग। कुछ लोग होते हैं उनको एसी में बैठ के पसीना आता है, स्वेदी, बहुत जल्दी जल्दी गुस्सा आता है, छोटी छोटी बात पे इरिटेट हो जाते हैं, गुस्सा करते हैं, रोक्षण। और इनको स्वप्न में आपको ज्योतिष मतलब आपको आकाश, तारे, सूरज या फिर अग्नि से रिलेटेड चीजें दिखाई देती है। कफ प्रकृति, गंभीर बुद्धि, उनकी बुद्धि बहुत गंभीर होती है, बहुत सोच समझ के विचार करके एक्शन करते हैं। सीनियर ने कोई काम दिया है, टाइम लगाएंगे, सोचेंगे, समझेंगे, फिर काम करेंगे। स्थूल अंग, बहुत हट्टे कट्टे होते हैं। स्निग्ध केश, बहुत स्किन उनकी आपके हेयर्स या उनकी स्किन बहुत सॉफ्ट होती है, बहुत ऑयली होती है, ऐसे आप देखेंगे। महाबल, बहुत बलवान होएंगे। स्वप्न में पानी से रिलेटेड चीजें देखेंगे वो। ये कुछ कैरेक्टर्स है वात पित्त कफ प्रकृति के जो हमारे क्लासिकल्स में आए हैं। वात प्रकृति इमेशिएटेड होती है, पित्त वाला मीडियम होता है, कफ वाला वेल नरिश होता है, और वात वाला प्रोमिनेंट टेंडन्स और वेन्स होते हैं। कुछ पेशेंट्स होते हैं उनके होते हैं ना वेन्स बहुत प्रोमिनेंट होते हैं, टेंडन्स में प्रोमिनेंट होते हैं। पित्त वाले शॉर्ट टेम्पर्ड होते हैं, बहुत जल्दी गुस्सा आता है। कफ वाले प्लीजिंग अपीयरेंस होते हैं, हमेशा हंसते हुए महसूस करेंगे, हंसते हुए दिखेंगे हमें। क्लियर कॉम्प्लेक्शन का, बहुत फेयर कलर होगा उनका। आप देखोगे फेयर कलर पित्त और कफ दोनों में हो सकता है, मगर पित्त वाले में पिंपल्स बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं। कुछ लोगों के पिंपल्स बहुत निकलते हैं ना, कुछ लोगों की स्किन ऑयली होती है मगर स्किन फेयर रहती है, वो कफ वाले होते हैं। वात पित्त वाले ब्राउनिश हेयर्स के होते हैं, कफ वालों की सॉफ्ट ऑफ प्लीजिंग वॉइस होती है। पित्त वाले में ग्रेइंग ऑफ हेयर बहुत जल्दी होता है, वात वाले टॉकेटिव होते हैं। और पित्त वालों को एक्सेसिव हंगर लगता है, बहुत लोग होते हैं उनको बहुत जल्दी भूख लगती है, जितना भी खा ले सब पच जाता है, वो पित्त वाले होते हैं। पित्त वालों में इंटॉलरेंस टू हॉटिंग, गर्मी सहन नहीं होती उनसे, गर्मी का मौसम होगा तो उनको स्किन प्रॉब्लम्स हो सकती है। और पित्त वालों की स्ट्रॉन्ग डाइजेस्टिव पावर होती है। पित्त वालों की स्मूथ स्किन होती है। कुछ लोगों को मोल्स पिंपल्स बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं, वो पित्त प्रकृति के नेचर्स में आता है। और प्रोफ्यूज स्वेटिंग होती है, स्ट्रॉन्ग ऑर्डर होता है, वो सब पित्त का है। अब आप इसमें देखेंगे आयुर्वेद में जो क्लासिफिकेशन की है, ये एक आर्टिकल है रिकैपिटुलेशन ऑफ आयुर्वेदा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन टाइप बाय मशीन लर्निंग और फिनोटाइपिंग कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स। तो प्रकृति है एक फिनोटाइप से, आपकी जेनेटिक का फिनोटाइप्स। फिनोटाइपिंग मतलब आपका फिजियोलॉजिकल, फिजिकल एंड साइकोलॉजिकल का क्यूमुलेटिव जो इफेक्ट है हमारा, वो फिनोटाइप है हमारा, जो बिहेव हमारा दिखता है हमारी बॉडी पे। और जीनोटाइप हमारा जेनेटिक मेकअप है। तो कुछ केसेस होते हैं, ऐसे हमें वात वाले की बात करें तो वात और पित्त दोनों की स्किन थिन हो सकती है, मगर पित्त वाले की स्किन ड्राई नहीं होगी, वात वाले की ड्राई और रफ होगी। ऐसे ही वात और कफ दोनों को कोल्ड वेदर में प्रॉब्लम होगी, मगर कफ वाले को मॉइस्ट में, जब ह्यूमिडिटी ज्यादा होगी तो ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम होगी साथ में। तो प्रकृति का कॉन्सेप्ट हम यूज कहाँ करते हैं? आयुर्वेद में इसके बहुत सारे इंपैक्ट है। पर्सनलाइज मेडिसिन का कॉन्सेप्ट है, प्रिवेंटिव मेडिसिन में यूज कर सकते हैं, प्रोमोटिव मेडिसिन एंड आपका प्रिडिक्टिव मेडिसिन। आयुर्वेद में ये भी बता रखा है कि वात वालों को ये डिसऑर्डर होने की चांसेस ज़्यादा हो सकती है, मतलब जॉइंट डिसऑर्डर, न्यूरोलॉजिकल डिसऑर्डर उनमें ज़्यादा होते हैं। कफ वालों को रिस्पिरेटरी इलनेस ज़्यादा हो सकती है, कार्डियोवास्कुलर डिसऑर्डर ज़्यादा हो सकता है, ओबेसिटी डायबिटीज ज़्यादा हो सकता है। पित्त वाले को ब्लड रिलेटेड डिसऑर्डर ज़्यादा होते हैं, ESR ज़्यादा आ सकता है, उनका हीमोग्लोबिन में फ्लक्चुएशंस आ सकती है। ये कुछ आर्टिकल्स हैं आयुर्वेद के, आयुर्जीनोमिक्स अप्रोच फॉर ड्रग डिस्कवरी टुवर्ड्स पर्सनलाइज्ड मेडिसिन, ये आपको सब नेट पे मिल जाएगा। मैं आयुर्जीनोमिक्स का एक प्रोजेक्ट हुआ था IGIB में, उसकी टीम का हिस्सा भी था। तो हम लोगों ने क्या किया था, पॉपुलेशन की आइडेंटिफिकेशन की थी, उनकी प्रैक्टिस स्क्रीनिंग की थी, फिर उनकी फिनोटाइपिंग, एक क्वेश्चनर बेस हम आयुर्वेद में प्रैक्टिस असेसमेंट करते हैं वो किया, ब्लड सैंपल कलेक्शन किए, फिर उनकी जीनोमिक्स, एपिजीनोमिक्स, ट्रांसक्रिप्टोम, मेटाजीनोमिक्स स्टडी की, फिर डायसेक्टिंग किया फिनोम्स को, देखा गया कि ये पेशेंट इन चीज़ों के प्रति थोड़ा सेंसिटिव है, तो उनकी प्री क्लिनिकल ट्रायल हम ऐसे कर सकते हैं, मतलब प्रकृति के हम जीनोमिक कोरिलेट ढूंढ सकते हैं, फिर उसको हम स्टडी के रूप में यूज कर सकते हैं। एक और हम देखते हैं कि हर पेशेंट का डिसीज रिस्क अलग होता है। जैसे अभी आप देखोगे गुलियन बेडी सिंड्रोम पुणे में फैला है, हर किसी को नहीं हो रहा, कोई स्पेशल लोगों को हो रहा है। लाइफस्टाइल एंड डाइट हर पेशेंट्स के अलग अलग होते हैं। रिस्पॉन्स टू एनवायरनमेंट, हर पेशेंट अलग एनवायरनमेंट से अलग टाइप से रिस्पॉन्स करता है। ड्रग डोज रिस्पॉन्स, हर पेशेंट का ड्रग डोज रिस्पॉन्स अलग होता है। और प्रोग्नोसिस, एक ही पेशेंट में प्रोग्नोसिस एक ही टाइप के डिसीज में अलग अलग हो सकता है, तो उसका रीजन क्या है, पेशेंट की प्रकृति, वात पित्त कफ के बेस पे। हम देखते हैं कि हमारे जीन्स में बहुत सारे मल्टी स्केल वेरिएबिलिटी होती है, SNP होते हैं, सिंगल न्यूक्लियोटाइड पोलोमॉर्फिज्म। अगर उसको हम सेलुलर बायोकेमिकल लेवल पे लाए तो भी बहुत सारे चेंजेस आते हैं, और उन्हीं का हमारे हार्ट पे, थर्मोरेगुलेशन पे, मेंटल ट्रेस पे, एंट्रोटाइप पे, एयरवे फिजियोलॉजी पे, ग्रास एनाटॉमी पे, ऑर्गन सिस्टम पे, इन सब की वेरिएबिलिटी उससे होती है। इस सब वेरिएबिलिटी को हम वात पित्त और कफ में अगर हम क्लासीफाई कर पाए तो हम एक न्यू मॉडल कंट्रोल ग्रुप को बना सकते हैं, जिससे हम स्टडीज को बहुत ही अच्छा कर सकते हैं रिसर्च के रूप में। प्रकृति द फिनोम, प्रकृति द टोटल ऑफ ऑल द फिनोटाइप एक्सप्रेस बाय जीनोम, हमारा जीनोम जो एक्सप्रेस करता है वो फिनोटाइप्स प्रकृति के रूप में हम क्लासीफाई कर सकते हैं। प्रकृति इज द बेसिक इन द जीनोम, एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर में इन्फ्लुएंस द फिनोम, जैसे फिनोम को एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर इन्फ्लुएंस करते हैं, प्रकृति को भी करते हैं। एवरीवन हैज ए यूनिक सेट ऑफ फिनोम, सिंस एवरीवन हैज ए यूनिक सेट ऑफ जीनोम, हर किसी का एक यूनिक सेट ऑफ फिनोम है, क्योंकि हमारा जीनोम अलग है। हम सब आपस में डिफरेंट है, चाहे एनाटॉमिकल हो, फिजियोलॉजिकल हो या फिर साइकोलॉजिकल हो। हम अपने भाई बहनों से भी डिफरेंट करते हैं, एनाटॉमिकल भी, फिजियोलॉजिकल भी, साइकोलॉजिकल भी। उसका रीजन क्या है, प्रकृति, हमारा वात पित्त कफ दोषों का जो कंपोजिशन है हमारी बॉडी में, वो जो वेरिएशंस होती है हमारे जीन्स में, जीनोम में 0.1% होती है, जो कि SNP की वजह से होती है। मगर अगर हम इसको, इसी पॉपुलेशन को हम प्रकृति वाइज डिफरेंशिएट करें वात पित्त और कफ को, तो हम क्या कर सकते हैं, हम आइडेंटिकल फिनोटाइप्स के बेस पे स्टडी को क्लासिफाई कर सकते हैं, क्लिनिकल रिसर्चेस कर सकते हैं, जिसका आउटपुट और ज्यादा सिग्निफिकेंट हो सकता है आगे के टाइम्स में। सच सब ग्रुप में शो सिग्निफिकेंट जीनोमिक वेरिएशन इन टर्म्स ऑफ डिसीज ससेप्टिबिलिटी एंड इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स। हमने देखा है कि कुछ ग्रुप्स में जैसे वात पित्त कफ के हम डिफाइन करें तो कुछ ग्रुप का प्रोग्नोसिस बहुत अच्छा होता है, कुछ का नहीं हो पाता, कुछ में डिसीज ससेप्टिबिलिटी बहुत ज्यादा होती है। जैसे हमने ये कोविड के टाइम पे स्टडी की थी, मैं इस टीम का पार्ट था जब मैं तिब्बत कॉलेज में MD कर रहा था, प्रकृति एनालिसिस ऑफ कोविड-19 पेशेंट एंड ऑब्जर्वेशन स्टडी। हमने इसमें देखा कि वात कफ, पित्त कफ एंड कफ डोमिनेंट प्रकृति में कोविड-19 के पेशेंट ज्यादा मिले, मतलब जहां पे कफ ज्यादा इन्फ्लुएंसिंग था, कफ दोष ज्यादा था प्रकृति में, वहां पे कोविड-19 ज्यादा हुआ। तो अगर हम इसके बेस पे भी हम स्टडी कर सकते हैं कि हम उन पेशेंट को ज्यादा ससेप्टिबल समझे, उनको वल्नरेबल समझे, ताकि उनको हम पहले से ही प्रिडिक्ट कर पाए, उनको हम एनालिसिस कर पाए। लिमिटेशन ऑफ स्टडीज ऑन द पॉपुलेशन सब ग्रुप, हम देखते हैं कि जो हम इतने ग्रुप्स बनाते हैं, एज वाइज डिफरेंशिएशन करते हैं, सेक्स वाइज करते हैं, उनकी एप्लीकेशन उस ग्रुप तक ही डिफाइन होती है, और हर स्टडी इतने ग्रुप पे पॉसिबल नहीं हो पाता क्योंकि ह्यूज कॉस्ट लगता है। मैक्सिमम स्टडी फॉरेन्स में होते हैं, इंडिया में अप्लाई होती है, इंडियन पॉपुलेशन पे नहीं हो पाती। मगर प्रकृति बेस्ड स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन अगर हम करते हैं तो ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड वो क्लासीफाई की जा सकती है। जैसे वात पित्त और कफ का जो हमने बताया, सोल्यूशन इज प्रकृति बेस्ड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन, प्रकृति बेस्ड स्ट्रेटिफिकेशन अगर हम करते हैं वात पित्त और कफ दोषों के बेस पे। ये कुछ आर्टिकल्स हैं नेट पे आपको मिल जाएंगे, प्रकृति एंड वेरिएशन द प्लेटलेट एग्रीगेशन, जहां पे देखा गया है कि वात पित्त प्रकृति के इंडिविजुअल्स में कंपेयर टू अदर प्रकृति ADP इंड्यूस्ड मैक्सिमम प्लेटलेट एग्रीगेशन मिला था, और इन्होंने इंडिविजुअल ने बेटर रिस्पॉन्ड किया था एस्पिरिन की लोअर डोज के लिए। तो मतलब ड्रग डोज रिस्पॉन्स भी प्रकृति बेस्ड डिफरेंशिएशन में होता है। एक और साइंटिफिक रिपोर्ट्स में पब्लिकेशन है जीनोम वाइड एनालिसिस कोरिलेटर ऑफ आयुर्वेदिक प्रकृति। इसमें देखा गया कि PGM1 जीन जो फिनोटाइप ऑफ पिच से ज़्यादा कोरिलेट करती है, जो हमारी क्लासिकल्स में बताई गई है। एक और आर्टिकल है आयुजेनोमिक्स बेस्ड फ्रेमवर्क इन द प्रिसीजन इंटीग्रेटिव मेडिसिन ट्रांजिशनल अपॉर्चुनिटी। ये मिताली मुखर्जी मैम का आर्टिकल है, ये IIT एम्स जोधपुर या IIT जोधपुर में ही है मैम शायद ना अभी, इनका IGI में थी मैम पहले, तो हमने आयुजेनोमिक्स प्रोजेक्ट में साथ में काम किया था इस पे। एक और आर्टिकल है प्रकृति एसोसिएशन विद मेटाबॉलिज्म क्रोनिक डिसीज जीनोटाइप्स पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ ए न्यू बॉर्न स्क्रीनिंग एंड लाइफ टाइम पर्सनलाइज्ड प्रिवेंशन। हम बता सकते हैं कि अगर न्यूबॉर्न को स्क्रीन किया जाए प्रकृति के थ्रू बाय द जेनेटिक टेस्टिंग, एट द टाइम ऑफ बर्थ हम जेनेटिक टेस्टिंग कर ले और उनकी जो जीनोमिक कोरिलेट्स है उसको प्रकृति पे डिफरेंशिएशन कर ले, तो हम बता सकते हैं उनको कौन सी क्रोनिक डिसीज आने वाले टाइम में हो सकती है, उनका प्रिवेंशन कैसे किया जाए। ये हमारा खुद का आर्टिकल है, मैं डॉक्टर अंकुर तनवाड़ी, ये मेरी गाइड है स्वाता राजन मैम। हमने कोविड के टाइम पे हमारे तिबिया कॉलेज में कुछ पेशेंट आए थे, उनका प्रकृति एनालिसिस किया था, देखा था कौन से पेशेंट में कौन से कोविड-19 के कौन से प्रकृति ज़्यादा मिली थी, तो हमने देखा कर्व प्रकृति कोविड-19 के पेशेंट में बहुत ज़्यादा मिली थी। ये मेरा खुद का आर्टिकल है धैर्य प्रकृति के ऊपर, अगर आप चरक संहिता ऑनलाइन एक मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ आयुष की इनिशिएटिव है, उस पर प्रकृति के ऊपर सारी आपको चीज़ें मिल जाएगी। अब प्रकृति को असेस कैसे किया जाए, कोई वैलिडेटेड टूल है क्या इसके लिए? तो CCRS है, सेंट्रल काउंसिल ऑफ रिसर्च इन आयुर्वेदिक साइंसेज, इसका एक टूल है प्रकृति असेसमेंट स्केल, इसके थ्रू प्रकृति को असेस किया जा सकता है, ये फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट है। आयुष सॉफ्ट सीडेक का एक सॉफ्टवेयर है, उसके थ्रू प्रकृति असेसमेंट किया सकता है, और IGIB का भी असेसमेंट क्वेश्चनर है, शॉर्ट और मेन स्कोर, उसके थ्रू प्रकृति असेसमेंट किया जा सकता है। कंक्लूजन क्या है? करंट रिसर्च इन द मॉडर्न मेडिकल साइंसेज यूज एज सेक्स एंड एथनिसिटी as a universal independent variable and a control group, but Prakriti express itself uniformly across all ethnic groups, and thus ethnic control is not required in drug researches. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on this topic. Now, I request respected Dr. Jeevandeep Kaur ma'am and Dr. Gaurav Swami sir, chairperson of the session, to please felicitate Dr. Ankur Tanwar sir. Now I request Organizing President Dr. Seema ma'am, HOD of Physiology, to felicitate our chairperson Dr. Jeevandeep ma'am and Dr. Gaurav Swami sir.
Please have a huge round of applause for them.
Our next esteemed speaker, Dr. Majinder Kaur ma'am, Professor and HOD at Gitanjali Medical College, has been instrumental in shaping advancement in physiology. Her contributions have had a profound impact on both research and clinical practice. Today, we have the privilege of learning from her expertise. With Dr. Ritu Purohit ma'am and Dr. Mridula Mittal ma'am, as our session is with Dr. Ritu Purohit ma'am and Dr. Mridula Mittal ma'am as our chairperson, let us welcome Dr. Majinder Kaur ma'am to deliver her invited lecture.
Are also doing, and we can come up with a solid plan for assessment in physiology. So that's why I have chosen this topic to talk on the competency-based assessment, what we should do actually in physiology. So most of you would agree with me that when we talk about CBME, that is the competency-based medical education, we have new elements which have been incorporated into our curriculum. For that, in physiology, we have been given the early clinical exposure. So I think my slide is not moving there at the center, at the conference venue, but hello? Full screen here. I will reshare it. I will reshare my screen. So you all would agree with me that we have been, it's been told to us that the early clinical exposure has been added into the curriculum of the first professional MBBS, but that was something which we were already doing. And then the integration is one part which we are again told that this is a new element, but this was always there. In physiology, we had been doing the skills training also. The foundation course definitely is a new element which has been added, but somehow we always forget to talk about the assessment. So now this competency-based assessment is the one thing which has changed in this curriculum, which makes the CBME curriculum different from the traditional curriculum. So in this, the entire assessment, it revolves around the competencies. So before we move towards the concept of the competency-based assessment, we should understand what are the different levels of competence. So if level 1 is a novice, Level 2 is an advanced learner. Level 3 is competent. Level 4 is proficient. And level 5, we call it as a master or an expert. So our main focus is that our students, when they pass out from our subject, they should at least be at level 3. That is, they are competent and they are able to perform the tasks under supervision. So here, it's very important to understand that we don't want to make the students up to expert level. We have to make them competent. That is up till level 3 of the competence. So when we talk about the CBME or the competency-based assessment, there are many misconceptions. The first one being my slide is not moving forward. So we feel that when we talk about the competency-based assessment, like the traditional curriculum, okay, my system has gone. There is a trouble here. I am logged out. Is that so? No, I'm there. Let me see the PPT. So we see that when we talk about the competency, it has to be a performance-based assessment that the student is performing. And then we have to check the logbooks, what the students are making, and logbook is an assessment. So this is what we have the misconception. The logbooks are not actually the assessment tools, they are actually the learning tools for the students. So we have to prepare the logbooks every day so that the student is actually learning from the logbooks and we don't have to make them the assessment tools. And assessment of the soft skills is not critical. I mean, this is a misconception, very big misconception, but we have to understand that soft skill is an equal and important part as a normal clinical or a procedural skill is. And we also feel that competency-based assessment is valid without the assessment of all the competency. No. So when we talk about the CBA, we have to assess all the competencies which are written in the competency document. And we also feel that the competency-based assessment can be, we take one exam and the CBA is done. No. So the thing is, when we compare these two modules of assessment, so in traditional curriculum, we just see that what a learner knows. Our questions are formulated in a way that we understand what a learner knows. Again, my slide is fixed there. It's not moving. So, but in CBME, the learner we have to see that whether he is able to integrate his behavior to take care of the patients or not. So, in competency-based assessment, we have to create the evidence, whether the person is competent, and it is meeting certain standards or not. So what actually has changed in the competency-based assessment? The competency-based assessment is robust and multifaceted. Means a single test cannot assess a person that whether he is competent or not. And it has to be changed to the need of the learner as well as to the skill or the competency you are trying to assess. Secondly, you may have to conduct multiple assessments. Hence, the competency-based assessment is actually a longitudinal assessment. And we have to change from the norm-based to the criteria-based assessment. So what does that mean? That instead of some standards, we have to see whether a particular student has scored 50% marks or not. So this is a criteria which has to be implemented to the each and every student. And it requires, definitely it would require more time, resources and opportunities to assess the student. So in here, we want the students to be directly observed by the moderator or the facilitator. Here, the role of the teacher has changed from the teacher to the moderator, facilitator or a guru. Hence, the competency-based assessment, it lays more emphasis on the formative aspect of the assessment. So to sum up, we say that the competency-based assessment is actually criterion referenced. It has to be evidence-based. We have to create the evidences that the student has learned or it has achieved a typical or a particular competency during its learning graph. And it has to be participatory. Means the student has to be equally involved in this competency-based assessment pattern, which was not there in the traditional curriculum. So what actually has changed in this entire thing? It is the internal assessment, which is again, I'm talking about the longitudinal, robust, multifaceted, participatory, and a very important component which is there is the feedback. So the feedback component makes the competency-based assessment as the assessment for learning instead of assessment of learning. So now, traditionally, what we do to assess the knowledge of the physiology in our students, we take theory exams. And I am not saying that this is something new which has been added. So we have to take the MCQs, long answer questions, the short answer questions. And for the practical skills, we had been taking the practical exams. We were giving them topics to do. And we do a direct observation of the procedural skills. We do OSPE. And we had been telling them to make a journal. But the new thing which we have added now is a logbook. The other methods where we can do a longitudinal assessment is we can give them seminars, we can assess those seminars, we can assess them in small group teaching methods. But we require blueprinting to make it competency-based assessment so that each of the competency is having a weightage. So when you share this blueprint with the students before your assessment, that ensures that your student is prepared for each and every competency. And while you are making the question paper or you are making an assessment tool, you are actually covering all the competencies. So here, the paper forming is not according to my whims and fancies that this is my favorite topic. I will ask more questions on this. So here, the question paper or the assessment pattern is totally governed, or it is, led by the blueprint, which is based on the competency framework. So now blueprinting is an entirely different session, which is beyond the scope of this particular session, as I have been given only 15 minutes to talk about. So we can conduct another session for this later. So what has changed when we ask the theory questions? So we all have been asking the long answer questions. So in the previous CBME modules, we were asked to make the long answer questions in the clinical case scenario based, and we were asking the questions from this clinical case scenario. So I remember that we were giving the clinical case scenario. The first question is, give your provisional diagnosis to an extent that some of the examiners were even writing management of this particular condition in physiology. So that is something which was not required. So probably looking into that, NMC has now suggested that we put these scenario-based questions in the MCQs and we rather focus on the core physiology in the theory paper. So now we have to switch back to again the core physiology in the question paper, but our essay questions have to be in a form of modified essay questions which have to be structured and talking about core physiology here. So now each part of the essay question has to carry the weightage in front of it and make sure that your question paper, which has long answer questions, short answer questions, scenario-based MCQs, they should have the element of, most of them should be, analytical types or reasoning-based, application-based, or the physiological basis of diseases or its management. Even in the scenario-based MCQs, I'm sure Dr. Anupinder must have taken a workshop on this. So scenario-based MCQs should also focus on the physiological aspects rather than talking about the clinical scenarios, because it is our moral responsibility to teach them physiology and ask them physiology. And we all know that the students will read only what we will ask them. So seeing into that, we have been given that you have to give the long answer questions, you have to give short answer questions, which should be reasoning based, application based, physiological basis of disease or management, and scenario based MCQs. And they have also specified that only 20% of the weightage has to be given to the MCQs. So if our question paper is of 100 marks, we can add the MCQs up to 20 marks. Another thing is that when we are structuring a question, so we have to ensure that all the questions, may it be the short question, may it be a long question, it has to be properly structured. Do not give a open or a vague question. For example, if you are asking about the physiological basis of clinical features, we can say physiological basis of osteoporosis in a patient of Cushing syndrome, it has to be structured. Just writing Cushing syndrome, the student won't understand what you want to ask there. So, and you should also target on asking higher domains of knowledge for analysis and comprehension rather than recall. Some part of recall is mandatory, but you have to limit that recall process from up to 10 to 20% in your question paper. And use of proper action verbs is always advocated. So now this, according to the Bloom's taxonomy, the cognitive domain has the base of knowledge, which is the lowest form of the cognitive or the lower order thinking skills are there. And as the student is getting more knowledge, it is going up to the comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. So you can also see that the verbs, they change with the domain of the, or we can say the level of this cognitive domain. So if you're just testing the simple knowledge, the rote memory, you can ask the student to define, enlist, and if you are testing the comprehension, you can ask the student to classify, describe, explain. If you are giving them a problem where they have to, apply some kind of knowledge, give them a kind of report, or you can give them a test result, or you can give them a problem case scenario. So you can ask them to interpret or demonstrate. Again, a report can be used as to compare and contrast, to examine. And synthesis and evaluation is a little high. We can use these two, we can say domains or these two levels for our PG students. So, and we also are quite confused, like what to do with certifications. There are many skills which are now added into the curriculum. Earlier, there were only 14 skills which we had to, certify. Earlier, we were certifying the blood pressure, the pulse, all the clinical examinations. But now all the hematology practicals have also come under the certifiable competencies. A few others have been added like ergography, ECG, spirometry. Earlier, GPE, cardiovascular, abdomen were not there in the certifiable competencies, but now they are also added. So the number of certifiable competencies has gone above 25. So with a big batch of 200, 250, it's practically not possible to directly observe each and every student for all these certifiable competencies. And the format for certification is like it's a table which talks about the attempt of the student, whether the student is appearing in the certification for the first time, in the repeat session or the remedial session, and you are asked to score in the numerical score or as a rated score, like whether the student is below expectation, meets expectation, or exceeds expectation. And the decision of faculty is asked as completed, the competency or certification has been completed, or you have given him or her a repeat or a remedial, and whether you have given a feedback to the student or not. So with this rating, doing it for multiple times for a student till he gets the competency for 200, 250 students might appear as not a doable task. So NMC has asked us to do this certification either under the direct procedural skill or as an OSPE or as a practical exam. So you can assess, seeing that what is the relevance of this particular certifiable competency to the practice. And then you can, if you see this feasibility and relevance table, so most of these competencies would be, the ones which the student would need further into his clinical practice also. So you can use the skill lab or simulations according to the feasibility. If the feasibility is low, we can use skill or the simulation. If we have a high feasibility and it is quite relevant, we have to go for direct observation of procedural skill. For example, blood pressure hai, pulse hai, that we have to go in this type of format. But for a skill which is just, we need to see that just he is aware of that skill, then we can actually, if it is less relevant and the feasibility is also low, so we can go in for we can just put it in the OSPE, unobserved OSPE. If the feasibility is more and the relevance is less, for example, all the hematology practicals, now the student should know about the hematology practicals, but as most of these practicals will be again repeated in the pathology and most of these would be done by the automated machines. So what we have done here in our colleges, we have planned the entire OSPE session for certification of the certifications of hematology. And the students who were not been able to complete the certification in first go would be given another chance in the repeat and the remedial OSPE stations. But for the clinical certifications, we would be doing, we are doing the direct observation of the procedural skills, either in the skill lab or in the simulated environment or on the standardized subjects. So with that, if you have any questions, we can take up your questions now. That was all from my side.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for an enriching session. Now we are privileged to introduce Dr. Amitabh Dubey, sir. He's a senior professor in Department of Physiology in SMS Jaipur and an eminent scholar and researcher in the field of physiology. With an illustrious career and vast contributions, Dr. Dubey's insights will undoubtedly add immense value to our discussions. Under the guidance of our esteemed chairpersons, Dr. Ritu Purohit ma'am, Secretary PSI Rajasthan Chapter, and Dr. Mridula Mittal ma'am, Assistant Professor at Dr. S.S. Tantia Medical College, Hospital and Research Center. Let us extend a warm welcome to Dr. Amitabh Dubey, sir, for his invited lecture. Please have a huge round of applause.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, the organizers and the delegates, and my dear friends. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you once again. I think that this is my second or third time when I'm presenting our model of the working human mind in real time. I would like to thank the organizers once again for giving me the opportunity to share our experiences, which were initiated way back in 2003. So this model of the working human mind in real time is basically is a result of a work initiated in 2003, and it is basically a multidisciplinary approach where inputs from all fields, basic fields like I'm sorry, where all fields like disciplines of mathematics, physics, electronics and communication, biomedical instrumentation, neurology and physiology, they came together, and then we were able to basically initiate and we say compile and wind up and come up with this model. It's basically, anyway, the human mind. Before going further, I would like to recapitulate in the sense that this work was initiated on biological signal processing since 2003. We had been processing the ECG signals for their looking for a pattern of their variability. Then we switched over to EEG signals way back in 2005 with our multidisciplinary group, and as a result of which we were able to we were able to find and elucidate that that the human mind or neural dynamics, they follow the principles of nonlinear dynamics, that is chaos. It was nothing new. It was basically, it had been documented about 20 years ago, way back, I think in 1989, 88, by Professor Walter Freeman was the person from UC. I think he was from UC San Diego, who documented it for the first time, that neural dynamics follow the principles of chaos, and which had been reduplicated a number of times. And ours was the first. Our group was the first to document the same from North India. From South India, Professor Mukundan had already documented it before 2009. So as a sequel to that, then we had been working on ED signal processing, where we are deep into data mining and data modeling, where we had the good fortune to be in collaboration with MNIT and Ketan Polytechnic Jaipur over here. We could get access to the relevant license program of MATLAB, where through artificial neural network, ANN, and machine learning, we came across a pattern in the EEG signals. Now that pattern in the EEG signals, I'm sorry, where it had a particular distinctive pattern, and this was again, when we were evaluating the EEG pattern in children with ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, we came across a finding that such children have dysfunctional mirror neuron system, or also known as the famous phrase of Professor V.S. Ramachandran, the broken mirrors, because he was the first to elucidate the presence of dysfunctional mirror neurons or broken mirrors in children with autistic spectrum disorder. Our center was the first to document the same in children with ADHD. And incidentally, the presence of mirror neuron system was discovered way back in 1992 by Rizzolatti from Italy. Hello? I hope I am audible, right? So now in that process, then we took up the onerous task of looking into the neural signature of language, where we evolved and designed various protocols related to ERP or oddball paradigm, जो है auditory. We had visual oddball paradigm and visual oddball paradigms, and as a result of that, we came across some interesting findings, and that's what we would like to present over here. Now, there are two concepts, or two entities: the human brain and the human mind. The human mind is basically the functional aspect, the functional entity of the human brain, and is in our terms, it is basically the stochastic trajectory in the virtual phase space, and which is basically a result of the dedicated neuronal pools which come together and subserve a particular function. Now, I would again like to acknowledge and thank my mentor and my guru who passed away in COVID, but for us, he's still there and guiding us. He was a guiding force who, brought in a paradigm shift in the discipline of physiology at SMS. We have a number of first one aim that you can access through the Google Scholar. From the neural plasma, from the unknown, we try to extract the pattern through the powerful tools of digital processing, that is ANN and machine learning. This we had started way back in 2007. From the neural plasma or the plasmatic soup, we try to come up with a basically a model. Now in this, I'm sorry. Now in this model, we basically, we talk in terms of neural dynamics, which follow the principles of nonlinear chaos, and neural mechanisms. They are basically, they segregated, or they have three segregated mechanisms. One is, four segregated mechanism. One is the sensorial mechanism. The other one is the mirror neuron system. The third one is the motor mechanisms, and the mechanisms which synthesize all these three systems is basically the attentional mechanisms. Now, actually, what is happening now? How do these mechanisms how are they segregated, and how they basically synthesize to give the ultimate functional model of the human mind? Basically, the sensor mechanisms, they actively, before that, I would like to highlight one more fact, that the human mind or the brain is working on one basic premise, and that is memory, right? Memory, that's okay. That's memory. So the sensorial mechanisms, they actively seek information. They funnel in the information onto the mirror neuron system. Now, these sensorial mechanisms, they act under the overwhelming domain of the attentional mechanisms, which basically try to synthesize and bring together all these three mechanisms under through the single profile, through the same profile. Now, this mirror neuron system basically is the interfacial system, which is responsible for transferring and transliterating the information of the sensorial mechanisms onto the motor mechanism. So so the mirror neuron system is basically the mechanisms which is responsible for creating the algorithm algorithmic flow, which basically goes on, which is transferred to the motor mechanisms, which ultimately give rise to the final response. उदाहरण के तौर पे जो है, say for example, you wish to drink a cup of tea from the table. So all the motor mechanisms related to the upper limb, the left or the right, that is the flexors and the extensors, abductors and the adductors, and the rotators, internal and external. किस range में what all muscle mechanisms, motor mechanisms need to be recruited. That algorithm is basically designed by the motor neuron system, which is passed on this algorithm is designed by the mirror neuron system, which is passed on to the motor neuron system, which ultimately executes the final response. Now, exactly the mirror neuron system, how you can appreciate the mirror neuron system is that whenever you are seeing someone else doing an action or doing a particular errand, the action and that particular errand, you are not doing it, but you are able to appreciate what the other person is doing. Now, this appreciation is because of the presence of the mirror neuron system, which basically etches the neuronal map across the landscape, which is being created by the stochastic trajectory of the human mind, right? So this was about the basic flow of mechanisms. Human mind, basically, जैसा हमने बात की थी, it is basically made up of fractals and self-iterating mechanisms, which we had documented and are basically article was accepted for publication on the international platform as well, and it was basically presented as well at Florence, Italy, at EFNS, that is European Federation of Neurological Society. Like we had initially interacted and discussed, that there is the human mind is made up of the neural mechanisms consists of sensorial mechanisms, the mirror neuron system, the motor mechanisms, and the overwhelming attentional mechanisms. Now, as a result of our ongoing work initiated in 2005 on EEG signal processing, where we basically were looking for a pattern in the EEG signals in health and in disease, Alzheimer's, epilepsy, dementia. The findings of which have been published on an international platform as well. The synopsis of the same was that whenever the human mind, like we said, has three segregated or four segregated systems: the sensorial, the motor, the mirror neuron system, and the overwhelming attentional mechanisms, which basically induces a synthetic platform for the three mechanisms. So it's basically a glue for all the for the three mechanisms, for the remaining three mechanisms. Now, the human mind, now all these mechanisms, the sensory, motor, and the mirror neuron system. Initially, we were talking about way back in 1980s and 1990s, we talked about the various lobes with dedicated lobes, which the frontal, the parietal, the visual, the temporal, they have a dedicated function. Now that premise has given way. That premise has given way to a distributed neuronal pool system, where these distributed neuronal pools they basically crosstalk with each other and subserve a particular function. Now, these distributed neuronal pools, they work in concert on with the neural dynamics, which is represented by by the phenomenon known as ERD and ERS. ERD is the event-related depolarization, and ERS is the event-related synchronization. It is basically a terminology which was I'm sorry, which was accessed and taken over from the digital platform. Now, event-related desynchrony is when the distributed neuronal pools, they are working not in concert and not in synchrony, right? When they're desynchronized, then the power spectral density of the waveform, it decreases, the PSE decreases, and when they work in synchrony, their PSD increases. I'm sorry. Anyway, so this concept of ERD, the attention mechanisms, I'm sorry, the attentional mechanisms, they primarily seek for theta event-related synchrony, which is basically hitchhike or piggybacked hitchhike, जिसको हम बोलते हैं, by the alpha ERD and alpha ERS. Now, these two mechanisms, जो हैं, they work in concert, and they work along the lines of on-center, off-surround, and off-center, on-surround. The on-center mechanisms is the alpha event-related desynchrony. Remember, the event-related desynchrony exemplifies a neuronal pool which is actively responding, and actively and adequately responding to the and is stimulus locked, right, to the stimulus. And the ERS is the off surround, which is event related synchrony, where the other neuronal pools acting in concert, which have been inhibited, so that the neuron subpool, which is basically working on the premise of alpha ERD, is able to work. So the human mind is working in concert with on the premise of on-center alpha ERD on-center and alpha ERS off-surround. Similarly, there's a theta ERS on-center with an alpha ERS off-center and an alpha ERD on-surround. So this basic feature, the concentric on-surround, off-surround model has been hypothesized and modeled by us for the first time, and that has been, we have been given the copyright as well. We received the copyright recently. So the model of the algorithmic flow of neural information is the alpha ERS singularity is. Can I just please? Oh, wait. Huh. Alpha ERS singularity is responsible for the neural attentional recruitment, which basically feeds on to the the theta ERS singularity. The theta ERS is basically reverberatory mechanisms which funnel the neural dynamics and open the neural gateway, which is responsible for activation of the mirror neurons system, which gives rise to, which basically creates the ambience of alpha ERD or mu-RIM, which is also known as the mu-RIM or the mu-RIM neural dynamics, which is fine-tuned and which is basically fine-tuned by the background inhibitory noise through the mechanisms of alpha ERS neural dynamics. And then this feature, this particular model is responsible for activation of the variable paired muscle effector system, which evolves and creates the stimulus which is adequate response, and which basically gives you a response which is stimulus locked and is stimulus adequate as well. So the neural attention recruitment is through the phenomenon known as the theta ERS singularity. The theta ERS singularity is responsible for the reverberatory funnel neural dynamics, which open the neural gateway. I'm sorry. Now this, when the neural gateway is open, then it leads to MNS activation, that is a mirror neuron system activation, which is reflected or exemplified by alpha ERD or mu-RIM neural dynamics with a concomitant or an antecedent fine-tuned inhibitory background noise of alpha neural dynamics. The activation, which leads to activation of variable muscle effector system, the agonist and the agonist, they work in concert. Now, this model was again was basically got the necessary support from findings of one of our findings that was published by Meenal et al. Way back in 2023, where we were trying to profile, the neural signature for consonants and vowels, where we came across an important feature is basically vowels are responsible for, any language, may it be English, Hindi, Sanskrit, any language. It is basically made up by its primal building block, that is vowels and consonants. Vowels are responsible for appreciation of paradigmatic rule of language. That is the grammar and how language evolves. And consonants consonants, what is the function or role of consonants? This was quite interesting and quite mind-boggling. Consonants is responsible for the phenomenon known as lexicon access. That is the words that you have learned, that you have memorized, and how the consonants try to pick up a particular word for that particular situation from the plethora, from the neural plethoratic plasma which is there present in the human mind. So this was one of the interesting publications which was way back in 20. It was published in 2023, but basically the results, we came across these results, and like the saying goes now, Eureka, Eureka. We were thrilled, man. That's great. Anyway, so the next, I'm sorry. The next another path-breaking revelation that came to us was when we were trying to evaluate the ERP responses within syllables, that is intra versus interphenomenon. That again was basically published by a group, Chaudhary et al. In way back in 2024, where we were basically evaluating differential, the neural signature of differential consonants, consonant phoneme classes like plosive, fricatives, affricatives, liquids, and nasals. And we came across, and again, a mind-blowing observation of differential neural dynamics of P3 waveform in terms of amplitude and latency, in terms of fricatives and nasals as well. So these two, were quite these two studies recent, and one of the previous studies of I think it was in 2021, through which we basically modeled, the off-center on-surround and on-center off-surround phenomenon of the working of the human mind, with the basic premise of ERD and ERS. ERD is a phenomenon which basically is also replicative of memory. Anyway, that's for a different thing. So The neural architectonics which serve the language is basically, and it is the same in the neural architectonics which serve other protocols of the human mind. Say, for example, motor response, or the more esoteric response of cognition and the ability and cognition and the ability to synthesize from the past with present into future. That is again the neural architectonics remains the same of alpha ERD, that is the stimulatory concept, that is the stimulatory response, and the alpha ERS is the fine-tuned antecedent fine-tuned inhibitory response, on-center off-surround and off-center on-surround. The synthesize involved the fine-tuned cognate neural mechanisms of language. So this was our model which we published. And next now which we talked about the two studies. We're trying to evolve a coding mechanism for the same as well. हम बताएंगे जवाब.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on this topic. Moving forward, we are honored to welcome Dr. Anish Singhal. He is Associate Professor in Department of Physiology in AIIMS BB Nagar, Hyderabad, a distinguished figure in physiology with an impressive body of work and contributions to the field. Dr. Singhal's insight promised to be both enlightening and thought-provoking. Under the esteemed chairmanship of Dr. Ritu Purohit Ma'am, Secretary of Physiological Society of India, and Dr. Samuel Sir, Associate Professor at CMC Ludhiana, let us welcome Dr. Anish Singhal for his invited lecture.
Good afternoon, all. I anticipated that I would be greeting you good morning. So, how are you? Good, very good, or just feeling overwhelmed? Okay. So, first I thought that this presentation would be for the faculty participants, which I feel are not enough. So why not make it interactive and put physiology to some use so that coming 10 minutes, whatever I am going to discuss, may prove useful to you. Is it okay? अरे ताली नहीं बजानी है, हाँ या ना बोलना है? Okay, fine. Can the last benchers come in front? It is not a theory class. It is an interaction. Please, the last benchers come in front. आ जाओ, आ गया, फटाफट आ गया. Else I'll extend. Okay. With the permission of the chair, sir. So, may I know your CVS and respiratory are done? CVS is done? Great. Okay. Can you tell me the functions of autonomic nervous system with respect to CVS? Parts of autonomic nervous system? Sympathetic, parasympathetic, right? Functions of sympathetic with respect to heart rate? Increase. Okay. Chalo. I request everyone to stop talking, please. Third year student? Senior boy? Can you please make them quiet? Yes. So looks like you do not like teachers, you like seniors. I request you to please sit down here so that they are in control. Okay. So if I give you a situation, you are in a jungle at night with a tiger behind. What do you want from your body? With respect to vision, whatever light you have, you want to utilize it or you will wait for more to come? So what should happen to pupils? Dilate. You would like to run? So what do you want from your muscles? So increased agility. What would you like from your heart and blood pressure? Because your muscles will need blood, you want it to pump more. For that, the heart rate should increase, the force of contraction should increase, right? Now, since the blood is flowing more, you would want it to be more oxygenated. So, your respiratory rate should automatically increase. To aid that, you would have bronchodilation so that more air goes inside. So, what are these effects of sympathetic nervous system? So, if we just remember that at night in a jungle, scared, running, whatever you want from your body, you can remember all the functions of sympathetic nervous system. Would you like to go for potty that time? No. So, the GIT is inhibited, right? So, exactly opposite are the functions of parasympathetic nervous system. My topic is basics of autonomic function testing, right? So, there are certain tests that are used clinically to evaluate these functions, right? So, what good do they do? What is the use? Okay. So, these are the indications. So, these are the indications. In these many disorders, it is advised that the patient should undergo autonomic function testing. Many a times the clinician is confused, what is the diagnosis? The symptoms do not correlate with the proper differential diagnosis that you have in mind, right? So, it is very important that the patient should be sent in for AFT evaluation. The problem is, even the clinicians are not aware many of the times that there is some entity called as autonomic nervous system testing or autonomic function testing. So it is very important that I prime you today that there is something which also evaluates the ANS, which can further guide the evaluation. To be very practical, my lab at AIMS Bibinagar, Hyderabad, I primarily at present get two types of cases. One from general medicine and one from neurology. General medicine, they want me to diagnose POTS. Have you heard about POTS? Okay. So POTS is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, right? And the neurologists want me to differentiate between Parkinson's disease and MSA, multiple systems atrophy. So now you have been here, I guess, 5 months, 6 months? 3 months. So in physiology, you are expecting only theory. So that is not true. It depends. If we can put our physiology to work, we can aid clinical decision making, right? Now, how am I doing it? From the term POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. Syndrome to syndrome mein khatam. Tachycardia, increased heart rate. Orthostatic. So whenever you hear orthostasis or orthostatic, it is related to posture, right? So that person, that patient, whenever he stands, his blood pressure drops, right? Orthostatic hypotension. Fine. And postural again is a complementary to orthostatic. So this is POTS. So in this disease, the patient suffers with excessive heart rate, that is tachycardia, along with postural hypotension. Do you think it is physiological? अगर मैं बैठ के खड़ा हुआ, मेरा ब्लड प्रेशर गिरना चाहिए और टैकीकार्डिया होना चाहिए. Do you think this is physiological? Absolutely right. But if it becomes evident कि BP is falling more than what it should have, and tachycardia हो गया, मतलब it is not increased heart rate, it is tachycardia, right? So more than what was expected. So it is a disease. So it is not physiological anymore. The neurologist sent patients of Parkinson's with a question mark. Now what do? I do 4 or 5 tests based on which I just comment whether the autonomic nervous system per se, sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system are in line or not. If they are in line, it is PD. If there is a severe loss in the autonomic nervous system functions, it is multiple systems atrophy. Many a times these two diseases mimic the symptoms. There would be bradykinesia, there would be rigidity, there would be hypokinesia, tremors, everything would be there, accompanied by some random symptoms like visual hallucinations, whatever. But now, how do you diagnose? How do you go ahead? The clinician is stuck. MRI कर लिया, MRI में कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा. Age-related degeneration. Then what? Patient तो आया, आप तो एम्स के डॉक्टर हो, या आप तो इतने बड़े डॉक्टर हो. अब बताओ मेरे को क्या हुआ? Right? So these are certain things which are supportive in nature. So there are two types of tests, one diagnostic, one prognostic. So AFT I always classify as a prognostic, matlab it helps in knowing your prognosis, or a supportive kind of evidence, right? So I hope I am able to convey the importance of autonomic nervous system testing or autonomic function testing. So this condition, wherever the ENS doesn't work properly, is called as dysautonomia. So it is very much clear that in patients with OH, orthostatic hypotension, or in patients with multiple systems atrophy, they are accompanied with dysautonomia. This I have already discussed, the components of central nervous system, right? Then you already know the anatomy. Let us not go into the details of that. functions. I have given you a scenario where you can remember them excellently. Now, the first tool in AFT analysis is HRV, heart rate variability. How many of you have a watch which tells you your heart rate? Most of you, right? Is your heart rate same for a minute? It changes every second, right? Why is that? Why is it changing every second? Whereas for a patient, when we check the heart rate or the pulse rate, we do it for a minute, we count it for 1 minute and give one value. Whereas actually the heart rate was changing every second. Why is that? Why does it change every second? Any idea? There are so many physiological stimuli that are going on continuously. You're thinking. That thought might stimulate the sympathetic nervous system. It increases your heart rate in seconds. Right? You change your posture. You move your neck. You do anything is a stimulus. And these stimuli are continuously sensed by the baroreceptors. I hope you know what are baroreceptors. Right? So these baroreceptors, you have read second to second changes. Baroreceptors, right? So these baroreceptors immediately sense it and bring about the changes. There are hormones that are acting on the heart rate, psychological stimuli. So that is why every second, either it is a sympathetic stimulus or a parasympathetic stimulus, sympathetic, parasympathetic. Sympathetic, to heart rate will be more, RRR interval will be, heart rate will be more, RR interval will be less. Because if two R's are close by, what will happen to the RR interval? Reduced. So heart rate increases, RR decreases. Heart rate decreases, RR, because the two R waves are wide apart. So assessment of this RR interval is called as heart rate variability. So this is what I was trying to say, that each beat has got a different RR interval. So these are the various stimuli that act continuously on your SA node, changing the activity of SA node, thereby second to second changes in heart rate. It is very important to note that stress increases the variability or decreases. What do you think? Variability should be more or less? For civilized people, we don't like variations. We want things to be streamlined. But body, it likes to be slightly vague. So if your heart rate is variable, that means it has got the power to accommodate various stimuli and accordingly adjust your heart rate and blood pressure. If it is a rigid system, the heart is expecting you not to stand, but you somehow stood. Like, ja, मैं नहीं करता. So क्या होगा? Heart rate जहाँ बढ़ना चाहिए था बढ़ेगा नहीं, BP जहाँ बढ़ना चाहिए था बढ़ेगा नहीं. So variability is good. As far as autonomic nervous system is concerned, variability is good. So stress decreases variability, and other exercises like meditation and everything, relaxation exercises, they increase variability. Right? So khela karo. Let us not go into the technicalities of HRV. Only the importance and the reasons are sufficient. Second, the second element of assessment of autonomic nervous system is the reactivity. Now, what we discussed about heart rate variability was at rest. Now, second thing is autonomic reactivity. Now, this reactivity means when you do something which acts as a stimulus, and that stimulus generates a response or a reaction from ANS. Okay? So the tests are deep breathing test, Valsalva maneuver, head up tilt test, or say lying to standing. Okay? Cold pressure test and hand grip test. We'll not go into the details. That is, I don't think it is appropriate for the audience today. But these are simple physiological tests. Deep breathing test, take 6 breaths per minute. Each breath 5 seconds inhalation, 5 seconds exhalation. Yoga wale kai babe yahi bolte hain, right? So it increases, it stimulates your parasympathetic system. Second, Valsalva maneuver. Many yogic exercises are linked with Valsalva, where you blow and hold your breath. That increases parasympathetic stimulation. Fine. Lying to standing, we already discussed. If you stand, blood pressure drops, heart rate increases. This is a stimulus for baroreceptors. Similarly, cold pressure test, put your hand in a cold water. It should increase the sympathetic activity. Hand grip test, there is a hand dynamometer. If we continuously keep it pressed, your sympathetic activity increases. Now, there are normal ranges and there are abnormal ranges. If the values are within normal range, the AFT analysis is normal. If the values are abnormal, the analysis says abnormal. So you can diagnose dysautonomia. So this is how the representation of various assessments look like on the computer. Postural challenge is the same head up tilt test or lying to standing test. This is the representation of data from heart rate variability. Okay, I have one MCQs for you. Can you please answer it? A 25-year-old medical student has been monitoring his heart rate variability using a smartwatch. During the exam period, he notices a decrease in HRV in the days nearing exams. मतलब exams pass आ गए, heart rate variability कम मिल रही है. What is the most likely explanation for this change? Why not A? एग्जाम में तो बैठे थे, खा रहे थे सिर्फ. Right? So since you have your smartwatches, see the difference yourself. एग्जाम के पहले नॉर्मली कितना आता है अपना हार्ट रेट, लिखो 15-20. एग्जाम टाइम में देखना कितना आता है, कम आएगा, डिफरेंस कम आएगा. Right? So the correct answer is B. These are the normal values based on which we comment whether it is normal or dysautonomia. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Now I request Dr. Ritu Purohit ma'am and Dr. Samuel sir to felicitate Dr. Anis Singhal sir. Please give them a big round of applause. I request Dr. Mridula ma'am to please come up on stage. Now I request Ms. Simran ma'am, tutor at Department of Physiology in Dr. S.S. Tantia Medical College, and Dr. Akanagamma ma'am, Associate Professor at Department of Physiology in Dr. S.S. Tantia Medical College, to felicitate our chairperson. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
We who are in the medical field, particularly in the academia, we know JP publishers very well. And in our conference also, JP publishers helped us in many ways. And we are really grateful to JP publishers that with your help, we could achieve this. Now, on behalf of JP Publishers, Sir has come and he wants to showcase some of his products, which is again intelligent products, with the theme of the conference, to our students. So not only students, I think faculties will be also benefited with this new product. So let's enjoy the show with JP Publishers. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. To all the dignitaries on and off the desk. We are from the JP Thus Medical Publication is serving to the nation, to the medical fraternity for the last 60 years. So now we came out this time is a online platform, like some of the platform are already moving to the market like a Mero and other platforms. So we just came out with to serve to the for the better quality content as well as the prices in lowest with the competition. So this is our journey. We are not only coming in India, we are just moving to globally, because all the FMG students also comes to India after finishing their undergrad course. So they have to clear their exams for the practices in medical in India. This is the platform for the NEET as well as platform for their current prof and as well as their PG examinations. So these are some of our eminent faculties through Pan India. Like I think in microbiology, one of the Dr. Apura Shankar Shastri is the book is moving all Pan India over here. Dr. Archit Belur, one of them is the renowned faculty. Dr. Majinder Kaur is also one of the faculty for teaching for our video lectures, right? And another one is the SRB, the surgery and the FMT, and Gautam Viswas also, we are having another faculty to deliver their lectures. So these are the video lectures over here. So we are giving all the components for the PG preparation, NEET PG preparations, we are giving the gems. And one more thing, we are added on one more features, these are PYQs, previous year questions also we have for the last year in all the subjects we are providing. And none of the other platforms are giving free with their in packages. These are some of the faculty profiles over here. This OSCE, GEMS, drug chart, and the test series. And one of the Dr. Wise's application chatbot is also in our all the books because everything they can get in their fingertips. This is AI Dr. Wise application we are giving in all our books because every time they can assess as a ready reckoner. They can find out any of the MCQs. It's a topic is providing it topic wise. It's a free application with all our textbooks. This quick revision also we are providing along with this our application. These are the video lectures at a glance, the timings. Apart from this is the notes, the digital notes. Those who would like to get the printed note also we are providing. This Q bank also, this is the question banks of previous year solved question papers. No one other platform is giving PYQs in their online application. The test series similar to the others. This is for rapid revision for the GEMS. These are the OSCEs also we are providing by the NMC is now focusing for the question based learning and through image based question also coming nowadays. So we have incorporated our OSCE and OSPI both in our platforms. These are the sample of the OSCEs. These are the number of OSCEs with the subject wise we are providing. Drug chart also. And finally, we came out how much the prices we are giving nowadays. Like, actually one of the platforms, especially I'm just talking to the student first to final years. So those are having the prices of Marrow. Marrow is nowadays providing approximately for 36 months. They are giving approximately 5,000 plus 15,000 they are charging for the previous year question. But we have a complete package for 3 years, 36 months in for 19,000 for 19 subjects. It's a package for 3 years. Another also, those who are wish to take the second year also, Patho, Pharma, Micro, is also we have another package for those students. Its price is 4,750 for, is covering all 3 subjects, right? All previous year questions, MCQs, Dr. Wise applications, OSCE, OSPI, is all other feature are coming with these packages. How you need to subscribe? Simply you need to download the Degener application. You will find some of the sample videos also. Then you can, if you are satisfied, those one you can subscribe on that platform, and we will provide you some of the code for the additional discount on these prices. Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. For a while, we have a note from the PSI President, Dr. Prasoon Priya Nayak sir. I would like to invite Prasoon Priya Nayak sir on the stage.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it's a quite long journey, I believe, for me at least. Yesterday we started, and we are at the fag end of the Physicon Raj 2025, which is initiated like last year we had, same thing, we initiated it as a state conference, but with the participations and with the hybrid model, we reached it nationwide. I wish to convey my sincere thanks to those participants who are mostly with the earplugs and cell phone throughout the day, but they kept us motivated that the speakers and us, a part of the organizing committee, we feel happy that room is full. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. First year. I am sure you didn't learn anything for these 2 days. We have consumed your time. You were here, but at least few words you have learned or you have heard, maybe by hearsay. You didn't want to listen, but we didn't leave you. We have forced you to listen few words. And thanks to Dr. Anis to drag you into the field, and at least you have learnt about the autonomic function tests, heart rate variability. You have learnt that the heart rate is like resting heart rate, everybody will be saying 72 beats per minute. But when you calculate your cardiac cycle, you use 0.8 second. These two data, they do not match each other. Variability. And that variability concept you got today. I am sure you can understand that something like I'm like apostrophe, what is that called? Comma. I started and I am finishing it. So you must be very happy. I appreciate the audience who are available here, particularly the first year students, those who are so obedient, so nice to be here. And yesterday lunchtime I felt all of us, we are hungry. And because we are going for lunch, they have waited for us. They gave us the scope to have lunch, and they had the lunch and came back. They came back in time. We got our quorum full. So really, really hats up to you. Done? The organizing team, except today morning, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours, they were busy with photography. Otherwise, they were busy. They didn't take us. They were busy. But throughout the session and before that, whenever I had a talk with the organizing team, organizing committee, students were there, and as I have shown in my presentation, night 9:30 and morning 8 o'clock, they are here. Really, without them, whatever we could do for these 2 days, it would have been not possible. And it's my sincere thanks to the organizing committee, the organizing institute. They have helped us with their infrastructure. And as I came to know from the chairperson and the organizing secretaries, that almost every cases it is like no question asked. Whatever been asked, everything is been provided. I put it on note that a sincere thanks, that's what we can do. We cannot do much. Sincere thanks on behalf of the Physiological Society of India, as well as the Physiological Society of India Rajasthan branch. Encouraged with their support, we are planning to have more academic activities in this institute, maybe in this region also. Thank you very much, and I think we can proceed for.
As the days ends, the marathon ends. And moving to the last lap of the marathon, but not the least, I, Priyanshu Kaushik, head of the Student Organizing Committee, would like to take the pride to invite the dignitaries. Honoring the excellence is a privilege, and today in Physicon, Rajasthan 2025, we take a moment to recognize the luminaries whose contribution have shaped the landscape of medical education and research. Their relentless dedication, visionary leadership, and pursuit of innovation continuing to inspire and uplift the aspiring minds. As I would like the pride to invite the dignitaries, PSI President Dr. Prasoon Priya Nayak sir to please join us on the stage. PSI Rajasthan Vice President to please join us on the stage. PSI Secretary Rajasthan Branch to please join up on the stage. With a huge round of applause, and PSI Rajasthan Treasurer to please join us on the stage. Come on, तालियों की गड़गड़ाहट रुकनी नहीं चाहिए. We also have PSI Scientific Committee Head. I request them also to please join us on the stage. Come on, boys and girls. Can we have a huge round of applause? I also request Department of Physiology, HOD, and their organizing committee members to please join us on the stage. Dr. Seema ma'am, Arjun sir, Eka ma'am, Simran ma'am, Mridula ma'am, please join us on the stage, ma'am. Come on, guys. Can we have a huge round of applause for your faculty members? Now, I would like to invite Arjun sir to please felicitate PSI President with a huge round of applause and a token of respect. And I would like you to know that we are celebrating a Guru Shishya Parampara here also. Dr. Prasoon Priya Nayak sir is the Guru of Dr. Arjun Mehta sir, taking this pride and legacy movement ahead. We have a teacher student. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause? This is how the Guru Shishya Parampara continues. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. Now I request HOD Physiology, also the organizing president, to please come up and felicitate PSI Rajasthan Vice President. I request Dr. Rita Arora ma'am to please join us on the stage, ma'am. So sorry, ma'am. Come on, first year, how's the Josh? Now I request Dr. Mridula ma'am to please felicitate PSI Rajasthan Secretary. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, can we have a huge round of applause? नहीं बोलना. Now I request Dr. Dr. Reddy ma'am to please come on the stage and felicitate PSI Rajasthan Treasurer with a token of respect. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the true visionary leaders we have on this stage whose dedication has shaped this event. Now, moving forward, I would like to request PSI President Dr. Prasoon Priya Nayak sir to please felicitate our organizing president, also the HOD of Department of Physiology, Dr. Seema ma'am, with a huge round of applause and a token of memento and respect. Now, we have our organizing secretary. We have Dr. Rita Arora ma'am. I request PSI Rajasthan secretary to please come on the stage, and we have them up here. I request to give them a token of respect. With a huge round of applause. On behalf of Physicon Raj, we extend our heartfelt appreciation for their relentless and inspiring commitment and invaluable contribution. Thank you, ma'am. Now, we have one more organizing secretary, Dr. Arjun Mehta, sir. I would like to request PSI Secretary Rajasthan branch to please felicitate and give a token of respect. Come on, boys and girls. We have our scientific committee head. I request Seema ma'am to please felicitate our scientific committee head of PSI. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. All the event you are you are seeing, it's because of all these dignitaries sitting out here. With immense gratitude, I would extend my heartfelt welcome. Now, I would like to invite our organizing treasurer, and I invite PSI Rajasthan branch treasurer to please felicitate our organizing treasurer with a huge round of applause. Students, teachers, and as well as the organizing committee has worked around the clock for this event. It might look a 3 days event, but students have worked, and including the faculties also have worked around the clock. So they deserve a huge round of applause. Come on, ladies and gentlemen. We have exciting prizes for you also. We have a poster competition here. Physionova, which was named as Physionova. We have first, second, third prizes for the UG and the PG branch.